Today, we will be breaking down both the common and the surprising packing mistakes so you know exactly what not to pack the next time you fly. The first mistake is a bit of a doozy as it does affect more travelers every single day than any other mistake on this list. Packing mistake number one is packing full water bottles or other large liquids. TSA shared on Instagram that over 130 million travelers left full water bottles in their carry on bags in 2024 alone. So while you might think this is a basic mistake, it turns out that 130 million people forgot, so a little refresher on the rules won't hurt. TSA's 311 liquid rule means that containers must be 3.4 ounces or smaller, which is about 100 milliliters, and fit in one quart-size bag, and then you're limited to just one of these liquid bags per passenger. If you show up with liquid in a larger container, such as a full water bottle, you'll be pulled aside, your bag will be searched, and you will need to dump it out. The fix is simple. Just empty your water bottle before security, and then refill it at a water fountain after you clear the checkpoint. I always pack an empty reusable bottle and make finding water the first thing that I do after I get through security. If you want to take this tip a step further, consider bringing a collapsible water bottle and you'll save even more space in your bag. And for a not so basic mistake that I honestly never thought would cause an issue at security, you will want to stick around for number 7. Yikes. Mistake number 2 is overpacking your personal item bag so everything is tight and dense. We all want to squeeze as much as possible into our personal item bag to maximize what we can bring onto the plane for free, especially since on most basic economy flight tickets, a personal item bag is the only piece of luggage that's going to be included in your ticket. But bags that are packed too tightly can confuse the TSA scanners, even those new fancy CT scanners. The more dense the bag is, the more difficult it is for the X-ray machine to see through it, which often triggers a manual inspection and then a full search of all of your luggage. And if your bag is stuffed so full that its dimensions exceed your personal item bag allowance by the airline is likely going to count it as your carry-on instead, which means that your actual carry-on suitcase ends up getting checked in at the gate, which can come with a hefty fee. A fun hack to avoid overstuffing your personal item bag would be to wear your heaviest and your bulkiest items in layers, like jackets or boots, instead of packing them, which is going to clear a ton of space in your bag. Another hack is to use a bag that maximizes your personal item allowance, which you can find on the airline's website. When a blanket, a purse, a sling, or an entire backpack can be used as your personal item, you want to pick the backpack. Just like a densely packed bag, carrying dense individual items or many small items smushed together can also look suspicious on the X-ray scanner. Everything from a box of granola bars, to books, to soap bars, to bags of powder like protein powder or creatine, and even a cluster of small bobby pins can show up as a dense, black, unrecognizable block on the scanner, which is going to prompt the agent to do a search. Tightly compressed clothing, as well as tangled power cords and jewelry, also lead to these suspicious dark blobs appearing on the scanner. So use compression cubes wisely and don't overcompress thick fabrics like wool or silk. Pack cables neatly in a small pouch and check if you have multiple devices that take the same connection. If your phone and your iPad both use USB-C, you don't need to pack that cable or charger twice. And for jewelry, use an organizer, a pill case, or even run your necklaces through a straw to keep them from tangling together and becoming unrecognizable in the scanner. The next mistake is packing for the airport experience or for your flight experience, but not packing strategically for TSA airport security. You will need to go through security first, and you should be packing your personal item bag under the assumption that certain things are going to need to be taken out at the checkpoint. The things that typically need to come out of your personal item bag as you go through the security checkpoint are going to be electronics that are larger than a cell phone and your bag of liquids. If you do have TSA PreCheck, or you're lucky enough for the checkpoint to have advanced scanners that allow you to keep these items in your bag, that's great, but don't assume that it's going to be the case. Prepare for the airport by keeping your liquids bag in an outer pocket of your personal item so you can easily pull it out and put it in a screening bin, and you'll also want to do the same with any large electronics like your laptop. You can rearrange your liquids as well as your electronics in your personal item bag for the flight. Just wait until you pass the TSA checkpoint to do so. Mistake number 5 is packing prohibited items, which is way more common than you think, since many travelers are not sure about what they actually can and can't bring. TSA officer Aisha Hicks notes that it's shocking to see so many people with knives at security. And I think you will be amazed by just how many guns are found at TSA airport security checkpoints on a daily basis, which we will get to a little later on in this video. Big yikes. A very common mistake, and one that I have made myself, is packing multi-tools, pocket knives, corkscrews, or scissors with a long blade in a personal item or carry-on suitcase to bring through airport security. TSA will confiscate these items immediately. And this is kind of controversial, but those items that are confiscated can end up being sold on government websites. Less obvious items, like torch lighters and some matches, are also banned, as well as loose lithium batteries if they aren't installed in a device like an electric toothbrush. The best way to avoid a luggage search and to not have any of your items taken away is to use TSA's "What Can I Bring" tool before you start packing. You can also use Ask TSA, where you can get an answer within 24 hours from an actual TSA agent on whether or not you can bring a specific item. You could send them a picture of the item and even the Amazon listing for the item, so you have a very clear answer if you can bring it or if you can't. Let us know down in the video comments if you have ever been stopped at the airport security checkpoint. I certainly have. Many times. Which is why I created a packing list of things that are both useful and 100% allowed. You can grab my personal item packing list of all the things that I bring for a flight for free down in the video description. And sometimes, even if you do everything right, you're still going to get stopped. Mistake number 6 is packing messy, spillable foods without realizing the TSA liquid rules apply to food as well. Soups, yogurts, curries, sauces, anything with a liquid or gel consistency over 3.4 ounces or 100 milliliters will set off an alarm and likely be taken away from you. This is a bit of a tricky one since you are allowed to bring solid food through security, but things like pre-made salads where the dressing ends up pooling at the bottom can get flagged, and even semi-solid foods like jams or hummus. But on the other hand, a sandwich with jam or another spread on it are okay. The same concept applies to something like hummus, which has been spread between 2 crackers before you get to the security checkpoint. It's also good to know that the liquids rule does not apply on the plane. It only applies as you go through the TSA security checkpoint. So that means that once you pass the checkpoint, you could do something like buy a soda or a coffee or a soup and then take it with you onto the flight. This next one is a perfect example of how innocent items can cause big problems. Mistake number 7 would be random, suspicious-looking items or documents. Let me explain. Let's look at the recent case of Oscar-winning actor Benicio del Toro, who was recently stopped at security and swarmed by 5 TSA officers because he was carrying a movie script for Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme. The problem was that the script opened with scenes describing interior airplane, bomb, followed by interior cockpit, eject the pilot, and crash. TSA agents didn't initially recognize him, and they treated the script as a potential security threat. It wasn't until a supervisor arrived who recognized the actor, and the situation was resolved. The moral of this wild story is that if you are carrying books or scripts or documents or any sort of material with alarming language at all relevant to the security on a flight or in an airport, be prepared to explain. Also be mindful of books or clothing with violent or political messages, or toy weapons. TSA officers need to take every threat seriously until it's been 100% proven that you are not going to be a danger to yourself or to anyone else in the airport or on the flight. And this is actually a good thing, especially considering how TSA discovered 6,678 firearms at security checkpoints in 2024, and 94% of those were loaded. Speaking of danger, when you're traveling, public Wi-Fi networks, like the free Wi-Fi at the airport, are some of the sketchiest things that you can use. The problem is that anyone else connected to that same network can potentially see what you're doing online. Hackers can sit on the same free Wi-Fi. They can try to grab things like your passwords, emails, credit card info, and whatever the heck else you type in while online. That's why I've partnered with NordVPN to set auto connect on all of my devices before I connect to public Wi-Fi. It creates a secure, encrypted tunnel for everything that you do, which means that even if someone is trying to snoop on you, they can't see your activity or access any of your personal information. The Auto Connect feature is going to handle everything for you in the background, so you can just connect to Wi-Fi networks like you normally would, with the peace of mind that your browsing is going to be protected and private. One subscription covers up to 10 devices, so whether you're traveling solo or with your family, everyone's browsing is going to stay private, and this subscription is going to cost you less than a cup of coffee each month. NordVPN has partnered with me to offer you an exclusive deal with up to 4 months free, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee by going to nordvpn.com/Megan. The next mistake would be packing loose medications without any labels. Medication should always go in your personal item bag so that you can access it on the flight, but those little unmarked baggies of vitamins, prescription meds, and other pills are one of the most common things that TSA pulls travelers aside for because they need to know exactly what is in your bag and what those pills are. So while you're technically allowed to mix all of your vitamins, over-the-counter medications, and prescription medications in a single container or bag, you will need to be prepared to tell an officer exactly what each pill is if you are asked. Telling apart all of your pills and your vitamins can be a challenge on a good day, let alone when you are out of routine and trying to make a flight. I'll put a video on the screen now, as well as link it for you in the video description, where I break down exactly how to travel with prescription medications, as well as other pills, vitamins, and supplements, so you don't break any rules or cause any trouble for yourself at airport security. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join Ollie and I back here for more travel tips and hacks each week, and I will see you in that next video soon. Bye.